I'm an overthinker. I overthink the slightest of situations. And by overthinking means I don't sleep very well because I'm constantly thinking. And I put into Google, why do we overthink? And I actually thought the result that came up was a bit harsh. The result I got when I googled why do we overthink is because I have nothing better to do. Which, in a sense, is kind of true. But when I overthink, I don't overthink small situations. I overthink the big situations, the life-changing situations. Whether it's to do with my health, or to do with money, or to do with work and job interviews. Even though a lot of situations I tend to overthink and put myself into are non-realistic and probably would never happen, my brain just decides to go about it anyway. And I thought, well, do you know what? Let's find a way to solve this overthinking. And some of these things I have researched, I have done, and oddly enough, some of them have worked really well. For me, in the last while, overthinking has been huge. I don't know whether I'm coming or going, and I'm usually tossing and turning in the bed, and I just am getting frustrated with myself at these particular moments, trying to question, why am I overthinking, which leads to more overthinking, to reasons why I'm overthinking. And it's a lot of overthinking, and I'm pretty sure my brain is going to self-combust at some point. So I'm sorry, brain, if you're in there still. Now, I have tried to combat some of this overthinking, and I have applied some tips to myself over the last number of years to help prevent the overthinking. And one of the biggest things I tend to overthink are situations that I'm placed in or could be placed in. And usually when it comes to overthinking, you focus on the negative side of things rather than the positive side of things. But one of the tips I have and been using is to focus on the positive outcomes of certain situations. For argument's sake, when it comes to a job interview, very quickly to turn around and say to myself, what if I don't get the job? And focus on all the negative points of not getting the job, rather than focusing on the positive sides of what if I get the job. Now, of course, there are some negatives to getting a job as well. So in some cases, for me personally, I would have to move out of home, I would have to find somewhere else to live in order to take up employment in the role I want. So this then leads me on to thinking about, how would I afford to live in an apartment? Where would I get an apartment? Would I have to sell my car, or would I have to commute 2 hours a day every day until I can afford to get an accommodation, and so on and so forth. And this leads me in a bit of a tizzy. But at the same time, focusing on the positive sides of things has also helped bring down the tone of overthinking just a little bit, because at least that way then you can set yourself up for the good things that come with getting a job. Now, another thing that I tend to try when it comes to overthinking is to distract myself completely from the situation. And this will mean either putting on the television for half an hour, opening the computer for half an hour, looking at the phone for half an hour, doing something on the phone, maybe putting some designs together for half an hour, whatever it is. And it's just finding some way to distract myself. And I found the distraction to be very, very good. And it kind of relaxes the mind as well. Even though you are tainting yourself by looking at a computer screen or television screen or a phone, because they have what's known as blue screen, and that has an effect then on your brain to trick it into thinking it's still daylight, even though it's not, and it causes you issues to fall asleep. But that's a total different video. Now, I do really overthink a lot of situations, and I know a lot of people do overthink situations, but the two things I would always tell someone when it comes to overthinking, especially in the last while, is to focus on the positives rather than the negatives, and to distract yourself from the situations that you may be putting yourself in to cause you to overthink. And I think for me personally, they're working very, very well. I've had some very good night's sleep, even though I'm still falling asleep at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. But still, on that positive side of things, overthinking has decreased a lot because I'm distracting myself from what's causing me to overthink, and I'm focusing on the positive sides of what's causing me to overthink, and they really help. Now, of course, naturally, one of the good ways when it comes to overthinking is to admit to yourself that you're an overthinker, and to not to get too deeply wrapped up in what's going to cause you to overthink. And I think one for a lot of people when it comes to overthinking on situations is maybe their health. And although your health is important, to definitely not go to Google. Definitely do not Google your symptoms, because that will lead you to believing that you're dying even though you're not. And of course, it will lead you into overthinking on a serious matter, which causes you some serious mental stress. So definitely avoid Google at all costs if you're talking about health, because it'll cause you mental stress and probably tell you that you're dying even though you're not. But that's just me when it comes to overthinking. I'm an overthinker. I always have been an overthinker and always will be an overthinker. But that's something I'm going to have to suffer through. I'm going to have to find more ways in order to deal with my overthinking. And yeah, that's just it. Overthinking is a blessing and a curse, and we all have to deal with it. We all do it. It's not something that just happens to one person. We will do it throughout our lives, and it sucks big time. Anyway guys, on that note, if you're an overthinker, don't forget to give this video a like. If you're an overthinker like me, hit the subscribe button over here, and if you want to watch my previous videos, you can click them down here. On that note everyone, I shall see you all on Wednesday.